It's the meat event, Meat Boy, and it's finally the opportunity for Valentina to try and get her belt back because we all know the story, right? It was March of this year. Alexa Grasso was able to win via face crank in that fourth round, and it was a fight that was kind of back and forth, right? Valentina started off very strong. Grasso answered with a strong second round, and ultimately, I believe Valentina won the third, and she was probably winning those early moments of the fourth, but it took one mistake from Valentina, and Alexa Grasso was able to capitalize. She was able to become the UFC Women's Flyweight Champion, and she was able to dethrone who many believe to be essentially the GOAT of the women's division and one of the greatest fighters, not just women, but in company history in general, of Valentina Shevchenko. So it's going to be interesting to see how Valentina rematches her in this one. Does she come back hungrier than ever? Has she made the requisite adjustments? And is she mentally all there and intact? Because you wonder, like, if she's coming into this fight thinking, oh, maybe I just made one mistake. Had I not made that one mistake, I would still be the champ. You wonder if that's a mindset that might sort of put her at a disadvantage, because Alexa Grasso was well in that fight, and to me, if Valentina's come into this one thinking she just made one mistake, and Valentina, I don't want to say I don't want to say Grasso got lucky, but you wonder how she's going to approach this one mentally for sure. But the odds are pretty torn. I was interested to see that the Bullet is, even though she's the challenger technically, she is a pretty decent favorite in this one. So the champion Grasso is around plus 135. In this one, Meat Boy, we were the only ones on YouTube, the only ones in the UFC fight picking sphere that picked Alexa Grasso the first time. So in this second installment, you taking Grasso again, or does Valentina get her belt back and maybe a trilogy's in the works? Who you taking?
Man, yeah, it's pretty fascinating on this matchup, and mixed emotions and thoughts because, like you said, we did pick Grasso. We were one of the very few that called it. There was just something about it. The year of the Mexicans, she looked absolutely phenomenal, but man, there's nothing better than a little revenge story. So I gotta actually flop on this one, and I think Bullet is going to get this one back. These odds are very reasonable for the Bullet. If she doesn't get it back, I think she's on her way out. She could be, on maybe the Izzy train, where maybe they're just chilling with their silk sheets nowadays and they're not grinding as hard. But just knowing, the Bullet, how competitive she is, I think that might have been could be a fluke. We really don't know, but I'm banking on that she will not make that mistake again, and she's been absolutely grinding for X amount of months since that loss, and she is going to win in a dominant fashion to prove to everyone, kind of like Nunes. Now, it will not surprise me if Grasso wins this again, because Leon Scott destroyed Usman the second fight when it was a similar upset, when it probably shouldn't have happened, but then Leon won. It wouldn't surprise me either way, but I'm going to lean on the Bullet. I hope she wins. I would love to see her back as a champ, and it will just solidify her as really one of the GOATs once again, just like Nunes. Because it is impressive to be like John Jones, but to be human and bounce back to get victory is just something special. So it'll be very interesting to see if she can attain that, because that is a very difficult thing to overcome.
Yeah, it really would be. And, I mean, you touched on the resume. It's already pretty insane as it is. Some of the wins Valentina has. I mean, Holly Holm, Juliana Pena, Joanna Jędrzejczyk, Andrade, Tyler Santos. Like, this woman has essentially beaten everyone for sure. And I like the comparisons you made. Nunes versus Pena that first time. A very strange fight. Pena's a plus 900 dog or something and ends up getting the second round finish. But we saw in the rematch a determined, absolutely savage Amanda Nunes just make what looked like the easiest light work over Pena in that second installment. So perhaps it does look like that, or maybe it looks more like you said against Leon Scott versus Usman 2. And if you think about it, Meat Boy, Leon Scott versus Usman 2, where was that fight? It was in Leon Scott's backyard in the O2. And for this second installment, we're getting Grasso versus Shevchenko in Grasso's backyard. So maybe much like how Leon was able to feast off that hometown crowd and capitalize in the second iteration, perhaps Grasso was able to do the same in this one. So if you're rolling with Shevchenko, do you anticipate this being much like Nunes versus Pena 2, a dominant 5-round decision, or do you see a world where Shevchenko extracts her revenge with a finish?
It wouldn't surprise me if she does get a TKO KO. honestly, she's a sicko. I could even see her submitting Grasso because she's like John Jones, where she would love to beat you at your own strength. But most likely it's gonna go decision. But if there is a finish, I gotta imagine Shevchenko gets it. If she gets submitted again or like knocked out, I'm teleport out of my house. I'm gonna be so mind blown and just jaw dropped for the next 2 weeks, because with Izzy upset and then this, and Grasso gets a finish with a KO or sub, I'm gonna be mind blown. But yeah, I think it's just gonna go decision. Bullet probably dominates, probably does a lot of grappling. But man, I could see her pulling off a submission just to prove the world wrong. You know, that's what she does.
Yeah, this should be fun. I feel like there's a lot of different outcomes, a lot of different trajectories that this fight could go for sure. But nonetheless, 59%, a pretty decent majority is rolling with the bullet. Majority beige for that decision. And of the 41% going with Alexa Grasso, there's a lot of beige on that side too. So it seems like Tapology thinks that this fight most likely will go the distance. In this second installment, Meat Boy, I got to go with Grasso again. There's nothing that, I mean, we picked Grasso the first time, and I don't know. I just see Alexa Grasso as being like this next iteration of champion, and I can see her soon running into the Blanchfields, the Tracy Cortezes, the Tyler Santoses, the next wave of 125ers, and slowly this division is becoming pretty stacked. But I think that Grasso is essentially the poster woman of that next generation, and I think that Shevchenko. Not that Shevchenko, doesn't still have it or isn't still the best, but I think that Grasso is going to, similar to how we were talking earlier, how Strickland might have Adesanya's number. I think Grasso's going to have Shevchenko's number. So in this one, I'm going to go Grasso. I'm going to go Grasso by a finish, Meat Boy, and I think that because you're saying, you would teleport out of your house, it would be the most shocking thing ever if Grasso wins by finish. That probably is what's going to happen, because as of last weekend, when Sean Strickland dominates Israel Adesanya, it seems like the entire fight matrix is essentially shattered. So whatever the least likely, most pipe dream of outcomes is to occur, probably is what's going to go down. So I'm going to go Grasso. I'm going to go by late finish, similar to that first one. And I'm going to tell you, Meat Boy, I think that this fight will be less competitive than the first installment. I think Grasso wins start to finish. Am I tripping?
No, I do not think you're tripping. But throw in the comments, boys, who you guys taking and why. Who's tripping and why. Smash subscribe, like the video, share it.